You know what's been inspiring to me is he plays, obviously most of BYU's games are on Saturday. That's the Jewish holy day. But I'm sure there's pushback in his community of like,
Yeah.
you're not following the rules, right? And we do the same to our athletes. Welcome back to Saints Unscripted. My name's Cam. I'm here with Brett.
What's up, guys?
And today we are talking about my favorite thing in the whole world, BYU football.
So we're talking about this year because BYU currently sits at 7-0.
As we all expected.
Once this video comes out, that may not be the case. Holding out hope, though. And something interesting about this 7-0 start, like we're expecting, most pundits predicted BYU would win between 3 and 4 games this year.
We're projected to finish 13th in the Big 12.
And we're currently 11th nationally. So this is cool.
Yeah.
This is fun to see. And BYU is the flagship university of the Church
of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And as such has a Jewish quarterback.
Yes. So there's a lot of facts about that. Some of them are going to be wrong. So I'm just going to say them as I remember them. For one, he's BYU's first Jewish quarterback.
Yeah.
And he makes up a third of the Jewish students at BYU.
One of 3.
He is one of 3. I want to know about the other 2 now. If you're out there, will you let us know?
Do you hang out?
Yeah. What was your journey? Like, how did you choose an LDS school?
That's awesome.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
An interesting thing when talking about the Jewish people is both a national identity and a religious identity.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, you're talking about national identity, but I believe Jake Retzlaff is what he considers a Reform Jew, which is like he practices
non-Orthodox.
Yeah, non-Orthodox, like practicing, but not like Law of Moses, not like some
number of steps that you can take.
Yeah, not some of the Orthodox.
And we're probably showing our ignorance regarding the Jewish religion here. But
well,
we're trying our best to.
In the article, there's an article by the Atlantic about Jake that's great. He mentions talking with people about BYU and talking about his religion and his identity as a Jew. And he says there's two families of questions. One is people asking questions like, do you believe in Jesus Christ? And that's funny to me from like a BYU student, just because when you talk about the Bible, you should probably realize like all the people in the New Testament are Jewish. They're the main characters. They're the villains and the good guys.
Jesus.
Yes, including Jesus, and that the Jews do not believe in Jesus Christ. But the other family of questions he talked about finding deeper understanding with members of the church, like common beliefs and things they do share and like ideas about God. And I really liked that just because in a previous episode, we were talking about making political connections. I think it's so awesome to see that happening with religion. We do have a lot of differences, but there is so much more commonality that doesn't get mentioned first. So I think just his presence there, and him building bridges with his teammates helps a deeper level of understanding. I love that.
You know what's been inspiring to me is he plays, obviously most of BYU's games are on Saturday. That's the Jewish holy day. That's the Jewish Sabbath. And he actually played, was it last week or the week before, on Yom Kippur, which is the holiest day in Judaism. And I was just imagining if the roles were flipped and it was a very public LDS figure that was in that same situation and was playing on Sundays and in the middle of general conference or on Easter, whatever, which happens, right?
Easter is a good example. I was like, what's our equivalent?
Yeah,
all right,
there's NFL players that went to BYU. They're LDS, right? Taysom Hill is one of them. And I think it's gotten better, but I'm sure there's pushback in his community of like,
yeah,
you're not following the rules, right? And we do the same to our athletes.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you're not being a good example, but he's looked at it with his family. They've both spoken publicly about it. It's brought more national attention to Judaism in a positive light.
Yeah.
Especially among, members of the church.
Yeah. Utah, I think, has like either the smallest Jewish population in the US or like it's number 2 or 3. Right. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think he's been a great example. And I've learned more about Judaism because of his willingness to live his religion the best way that he knows how with, the restrictions that are there.
Yeah. And I love that he is outspoken is not the word, but he likes to talk about it. He likes to like represent that side of
Mhm.
himself. He wears a Star of David
Star of David.
necklace, which is really
During
cool.
games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun to see that it's inspiring to see someone who is like their belief in God is at the forefront of who they are. That's something that I think everyone can be inspired by when God is your number one priority. I think that's a really inspirational example.
Absolutely. And that's what the mission of the church is, right? Is enter to learn, go forth to serve, live your religion, live your beliefs, even as you go forward in life. And he's a great example of that.
So here's a funny thing I liked. This made
Did
me
you hear him talk about the kosher food truck that came to practice?
Yeah.
That's super cool. Anyway.
What was it? I don't know if it was a holiday or if it was a specific week. Maybe was it Passover? Who knows? He had a kosher food truck come and had his teammates try it and explained a little bit about what does it mean if something is kosher in my religion, why do we eat things that are kosher, etc. And I think that's really cool, just a simple way to share about our beliefs. And as a Latter-day Saint, I would like to do more about that, just in a natural way. Like, this is the word of wisdom. This is why we follow it. This is how it changed my life. This is how it shapes me. And it can just be easy and natural.
I've seen guys on Reddit too. They're like, my friends and I are Jewish and we're now BYU fans from Maryland.
Yeah.
Because it's super cool just seeing somebody, right?
That's so fun.
There's that joke in the movie Airplane where the stewardess is handing out these leaflets and she's like, do you want any reading material? She's like, do you have anything light? And the stewardess is like, here's a pamphlet, famous Jewish athletes or sports stars or something.
It's true. It's very true.
He's one of very few, and he's representing very well.
So he tells a story in this article that we're referencing. He talks about his culture shock when he arrived to Provo. He said Sundays were brutal. Local businesses are closed, campuses are shut down, most of his teammates are at church. He didn't know what to do with himself. He just had no idea what to do because his religious day of the week is Saturday. So on Sunday, just another day where the whole town is closed and his teammates are all doing things for their holy day. And the other thing that I thought was funny, BYU has mandatory religious classes, which he takes, and they begin frequently with singing Mormon hymns. And he said, every single person around me has got this thing memorized, and I have no idea what's going on. I loved that imagery. It's hilarious. And it made me also think of new converts.
Yeah.
And just the sympathy of, when you are the new person, there is so much you don't realize that you know that can make you feel like an outsider. So help people.
Yeah, no, this is a great lesson for us too. I don't go to BYU anymore, but it's just ingrained in me. I wish I could shed my BYU fandom sometimes. Not this year, but in past year. It's too burned in. But it's a great example of things to watch out for that we maybe don't notice. And I would love to have more students of different religions come to BYU.
Yeah.
And not with the idea of them converting, right? But adding to the cultural fabric and contributing their perspectives. And that's what makes BYU so beautiful is we've got, all of these languages from the return missionaries. We got, right?
Those differences help you see yourself more clearly.
Absolutely.
That's why it's so great to have.
And then as members of the church on campus, we can be like, okay, obviously you don't know our hymns. We shouldn't expect you to.
Yeah.
So let's make you not feel weird.
Yes.
When it comes time to sing or to participate, stuff like that.
So another moniker on Instagram, Jake Retzlaff refers to himself as BYJew. That might even be like his handle that he changed to.
Yeah.
And part of the reason is he wanted to encourage his skittish teammates and friends to use the term. And even the Utah County Shabbat, I think that's how you say it.
His rabbi.
Yeah. His local congregation, they started making and selling t-shirts that say BYJew on it. So I love that. Leaning into it. And I think, like you're saying, the point was to help encourage more discourse around it. Be like, hey, like I'm very openly at BYU and Jewish, and I want to have conversations about it. And I really like that. And I think that's a super inspirational example for people of all faiths to be open to discussion, make sure people know that about you. That's really cool. I love that. Get out there, share your religion, be open to other people's perspectives, be nice to the people that don't know how to sing hymns, whether they don't know the words or they just have bad voices. I think there's a lot to unpack here, Cam. I loved that. Thank you.
Yeah, it was fun. See you next time.
Adios.